Oh my God, 7 years' time.
Can I finish? Is that okay?
Okay, sorry. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Hi, Jack.
Hello, Internet. I'm Daniel, the pitch professor. I hope you're doing well. And the following pitch is a real beauty because what you're about to see is that the way you handle yourself during a Q&A session, when people rattle your cage, when they really question yourself, that makes all the difference because during Q&A, that's where you build trust and show your ability to go above and beyond. This pitch is full of learnings, so make sure to watch it to the end because you'll see exactly that even the final question is going to make all the difference in the world. Therefore, without any further ado, let's go. It's called the most masterful pitch in the den. There's a couple one of those that I call that way. However, I usually don't kind of watch it in advance, but what I do is I look at the comments, and the top comment I saw is, whatever her name is, she needs Dragon Slayer added to her name. And I thought this could be really interesting. I think you might think this could be interesting. And yeah, I mean, Tuka looks in shock. So therefore, without any further ado, let's just jump right in it. Let's go.
Oh my God, 7 years' time.
Can I finish? Is that okay?
Okay, sorry. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Hi, Dragons. It's great to meet you. I'm Lottie, and this is my co-founder, Joe, and together we started MASTERFUL. We're here today to ask for £100,000 and, of course, your expertise in exchange for a 5% stake in our business.
Picture this. I'm living out my childhood dream of playing professional rugby for Harlequins, but I'm sidelined yet again with another injury.
Okay, I gotta stop here. Okay, 100k, 5%. That's something that's going to upset some dragons. This gentleman is new as well. He looks familiar. I mean, you see, I'm not a Dragon's Den expert. Why am I picking Dragon's Den? Because I think the pitches are really good. I like Dragon's Den. I hosted the Austrian version of this many moons ago. Is that a soccer play? I know. Okay, good. Okay, I like this. I'm curious about this guy. I haven't seen him yet, so let's see how he behaves. But what I did like right now is just the way the pitch started, and I believe Lottie and Joe. And I like the way Joe just mentioned, well, during my time as a professional rugby player playing for the Harlequins, blah, 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 that's him setting a mighty anchor. That's him saying, look, I am a professional sports person at the highest level. My body has taken tremendous punishment. So if you know rugby, it's basically 15 dudes against 15 dudes kicking the living daylights out of each other, pretending for 80 minutes not to be injured. That's the whole concept of rugby. Could be also girls, but it's a very physical sport. If you play this on a professional level and live to survive and keep most of your teeth, you probably know what you're talking about when it's something around sports. I kind of know they have something to do with recovery. That's what I kind of know already of this pitch. But that's a very strong entry. So what they're doing already is buying credibility. Okay, let's continue.
So I decided to dismantle a jigsaw, weld a stool leg on the end, and I start using it around my Achilles. And I'm blown away with how it alleviates the pain. The changing room erupts with laughter, as you could probably imagine, until the lads start using it for themselves. Before I know it, they're pulling cash out of their wallets, asking me to build them one. And by the end of the day, I'd sold 7.
Okay, that's a brilliant continuation. So he was hurt. He did something for himself. It worked. And his fellow mates all said, dude, this is amazing. I want it as well. So he sells 7 of whatever homemade contraption he has on one day. And that's good. Look at this guy. He's also going, ooh, that's good. That's good. So I like that. Very promising. Let's continue.
There are 2 billion people in the world right now suffering with muscle and joint issues. So it's no surprise that the recovery market is scaling rapidly. So what are we doing about it? Well, we're building MASTERFUL, the home of sports recovery.
Over the past 2 years, we've set about developing our incredible range of recovery tech. From percussive massagers that are amazing for alleviating pain and mobility, we have compression boots, which are perfect for post-exercise. We have our cold water immersion range and our CBD muscle and joint balm. Everyday athletes love our products, but so do some of the most elite sports teams in the world.
We've had some really exciting traction today, generating over £1.3 million worth of sales in the last 24 months. We're not stopping there, continuing to innovate. We're currently building the Physio in your pocket, software that will connect to your workout tracker to give you guided recovery based on the exercise that you've just done. Excitingly, we've just been backed by Google. So what's not to love? Dragons, thank you so much for listening. We can't wait for you to come and try our products.
So I want to dissect this a bit. First of all, a couple of observations. For me personally, it's like one of the newest seasons, I believe. I think it's 2021. I mean, the stuff they are presenting is, I kind of know that stuff. So it's CBD cream, it's some contraption where you sit in, I'm assuming it's some kind of massage seat. The other thing looked like an ice bath. The other thing looked like one of these massage guns. I've actually got one. I've got one like, not there. I've got one like 2 meters away from me. I love running and my back hurts. I used to play rugby like on the lowest potential possible level, but still. So I've got that. However, they kind of all put it together, plus the credibility of Joe, there has to be something to it, because I'm guessing he must have had access to whatever there was, yet he wasn't happy with what he found. They say they've got the physio in, you've got your physio in your pocket. Okay, I understand as well. Okay, to be honest, I think I've heard that sentence in the last 10 years at least 15 times, and I've personally worked on probably 5 or 6 different startups, just top of my mind right now, that I know of who've probably used that sentence. So that's not you. However, there was a second sentence I liked that they said they had 1.3 million in revenue. That's something you got to state. If you have revenue, if you have traction, that's king. In the last, I forgot how many months she said. And casually mentioned that Google is going to collaborate with them. Now this, boys and girls, is interesting, because Google doesn't come along if you are just a simple copycat product. There has to be something special. And I have to admit also the way Lottie presented it was very confident. I like this. I'm still curious about the Dragon Slayer part. Up to now, it was very good. I don't know if that was the most masterful pitch I've seen. It was a good pitch. For me, still one of the best I've seen in a decade. One of the top 5 probably was the one from last week by Joao, our ultra runner. If you haven't seen it, there now. I always hope that effect works. It's a pain and post edit. If it worked, if you liked it, if that made you smile, just hit the like button. That would be amazing, because that's going to help me find other people who watch these videos. And that kind of pays out for me at 1 o'clock in the morning, fiddling around to make this absolutely dynamic effect. That would be sweet. Anyhow, yeah. Masterful, I don't know. Very good pitch. Dragon Slayer, not yet. But let's find out what the dragon's response is to this. That could be good. Got big shoulders on him, doesn't she? Doesn't he? Not she. No, he. Typical rugby player shoulders. Anyhow, let's find out.
And I get in the bath?
Yeah, you can give the bath a go.
Wow, it's big enough for me.
What it's currently doing is
Small detail, I just noticed it. A lot of people who watch these kind of shows forget that they are heavily edited. This was just a great example. You just see Peter Jones says, "Can I get in it?" Cut. He's in it. At the same time, suddenly Stephen's in that chair. So I don't know how many minutes we've cut out. That understand that this whole thing, this is now about 10 minutes we've got as material, is edited down. Probably it's half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. So also understand that this has been edited for your entertainment, and probably also edited to create a certain, the stories maybe said too much, but to make it easily digestible for you. Not because you're not smart, but the point is you're watching this because you want to be entertained. And sometimes when I work with startups preparing for these kind of shows, and I coach them, they tend to forget that. So if you are preparing for a pitch event, if you're preparing for a pitch session, or if you are going to one of these shows, understand that you also need to entertain, not just facts, but deliver entertaining facts. If you're going like, what does that mean? That's blasphemy. I'm just here for the tech part. Yes, I understand. But do bear in mind that people's brains do not like concentrating. They don't like complicated stuff. However, they do love lightly entertaining stuff. And once the brain gets entertained, the brain goes like, ooh, this is fun. And then suddenly parts of the brain start switching on, which also don't mind to concentrate. So the more you entertain, the more people listen. The more people listen, the more their brain switches on. The more their brain switches on, the more content you can get into the brain. The more content in the brain, the more your pitch rules. You get the idea. So if you want to win, you got to entertain. With entertain, I don't mean being a clown, but taking factual, smart content and making it easily digestible. If you don't know what I mean, watch a German car show versus Top Gear. Now, a German car show is very factual and we'll be talking about the weights of a clutch for about 10 minutes, or flywheel. Probably really interesting. If you watch Top Gear, you'll see middle-aged men going sideways in cars. A lot better. Maybe mentioning the flywheel. German car show, a couple of views. Top Gear, well, Top Gear. Yes, let's continue, however, with Dragon's Den.
Going up from your foot to your calf to your knee to your quad. It'll flush out the blood. What you'll then get is fresh oxygenated blood that will flush back into the muscle. So that helps rejuvenate your legs post-exercise.
So I was sat in one of these about 2 weeks ago at Soccer Aid.
Right.
It was basically a group of people who shouldn't have been playing with elite athletes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's in pain, isn't he?
And then with the ice bath thing, I've looked at so many investments in this space because I'm really into the whole hot and cold phenomenon at the moment that I actually can't remember the name of them anymore. And that for me is a real kind of threat to this business over the long term. That there's going to be so much, there already is so many brands in this space. What's your big point of difference?
Sorry, great question. And it's perfectly fine, however, for you as an entrepreneur to be in a space where there's several others. Think about it. There's just not one car manufacturer in the world. There's dozens, hundreds, phones, smartphones, water, vodka, you name it. There's dozens of competitors. That's perfectly fine. But what you need is the ability to distinguish yourself from the others and to be clear on what makes you different. And this is one of these questions you need to prepare. And what I have ever so often is that people tell me, how am I supposed to prepare for a Q&A session? I don't know what they're going to ask me. Now, let's say you've got a recovery tool in the sports area and it's like a massage seat. People are going to say, well, how are you different? How are you patentable? Do you have revenue? How about traction? Who are your core competitors? What's your price point? What's a unit cost? When are you going to have break even? When is your next investment round? How do you intend entering market in the US? Why don't you want to enter? What I'm trying to say is, those are so obvious, straightforward questions that you have to assume that they are going to come. And you need to prepare these answers, because what I see a lot in Q&A sessions is people rambling. But just think about it. Just think about you only have 5 minutes Q&A as an example. Like a typical pitch event I would host is like a 3-minute pitch and 5 minutes of Q&A. And imagine you need 4.5 minutes to answer one question. That means you might be able to sneak in a second question, but that's it. But imagine you rehearse, you plan, you think about answers you would give before for very obvious questions and try and answer them in 30 seconds or less. So suddenly, within 5 minutes, we're not going to get 10, but you'll probably get 7 or 8 questions in. And every one of these questions are potential conversation starters, or they're going to help you earn time. And a pitch is always about earning time and building trust. That's the 2 pillars of pitching, and earning time, building trust. So understand that a Q&A is nothing other than you starting an individual conversation with someone. We've started it in the pitch. They're asking you the question. And if you reply to it in a good way and they go like, well, that was a great answer. You say, great. How about we grab a coffee afterwards and we talk about it a little more for the next 10 minutes afterwards. And that's the way it works. Lottie, if you ever watch this pitch, I'm so sorry that I froze the frame in this moment and ended up talking for so long. But I know that you will earn the title of Dragon Slayer within the next minutes. At least that's what someone commented on it. So I think you'll be also happy in being a Pitch Professor Slayer. Yes. Anyway, let's continue.
We've developed our products to be unique in certain areas, but also our customer and our community base love that this company is actually created and designed by a former elite athlete.
I mean, I was an elite athlete, and there's nothing different here than I saw 15 years ago in a club that invested heavily in world-class recovery products. What is it that Google helped with that was innovative?
Great question. So what Google helped in is us building the software that will connect to your workout tracker. It will say, okay, you've just done parkrun, 5K on a Saturday, and you can log onto your app and it will go, okay, I've got 10 minutes to do my recovery. It will take you through a guided program in exactly what stretches you should do, and it will also give the ability to use our products to help you with that recovery.
See, that's what I meant. Now, I didn't see this, but this question, so why is Google with you? What makes you so special? What are you doing with Google? That's one of these obvious questions. And I'm pretty sure Lottie didn't just make up this answer on the spot, but she assumed this question might come. And the answer was bang on there, where it's supposed to be. Let's see how this guy is going to follow up. I think it's Gary Neville, isn't it? That's him. I read that. Yeah, I forgot that. My slightly slow brain forgot about that. That's right. That's him. There you go. Okay, good. I like that.
Okay. You see, I'm interested in that. How much of that currently is your business compared to the actual product, which I think is something that's being sold regularly by other brands?
This question actually means, okay, how much is just pure individual sale, which means you have a product, someone buys it once, revenue, and never again. Which sounds amazing. You're selling something for 300 euros or whatever, 300 pounds, $300, I don't care. And then you're never, ever having any more revenue, ever. And if this customer stays loyal for 10 years, it doesn't matter. You do not have any more money that's flowing in your direction. Versus the other part, and I'm pretty sure he's asking for recurring revenue. And this, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is the magical word. If you are a startup and you have MRR, monthly recurring revenue, this is the magic word in startup world, because this means every month you are receiving more revenue from your customers that help you maintain and improve the quality of your product. And this is what gets every investor excited. If you have MRR or ARR, that's one of these acronyms you gotta know. If you have that, then we're in a very different dimension of talking. Because just understand it means one thing is you refuel your tank of gas. Today I'm very much car focused, but it doesn't matter. You refuel, you fill up your tank once, and you got to try and come as far as possible until eventually you run out of fuel. Versus you have a ton of financial pit stops every month, and every new customer adds more to it. It's recurring revenue, and this is the secret sauce. I see I'm getting all excited about this now. This is good stuff. Let's see how much MRR they have, or if I was potentially wrong. That's fine. No, that's what he's asking.
Yeah, so we forecast that it will make up 40 to 50%.
So none.
We're in the process of building the technology. That's exactly why we've...
So you haven't built it yet?
No, so we're developing it at the moment.
Seems like a much more interesting business, because honestly, I've seen all of this before. And what I said at the start of this is these massage guns, they send me this stuff all the time. And it's just piling up in my house.
That poor devil, huh? I had to pay premium money for mine, and he gets them sent to his house. Oh, poor fella. I really feel. And Tuka's going like, yeah, what, sunshine? I really feel the pain there.
With all due respect, you're not our core customer, to be honest with you. Like, our core customer isn't getting sent free Therabodies. They're people who love sport, but they're not, though. They love running, they go to park run, they sign up for 10K runs. We meet thousands and thousands of them.
Turnover 1.3 million so far. Profit?
Yeah, so in 2021, we generated revenue of 216,000 with a net loss of 153. For the full year of 2022, we generated net revenue of 599,000 with a loss of 95,000. And year to date, we've generated 502,000 with a net profit of 48,000. So 100% year-on-year growth year to date.
So that's really, I mean, for you, that's
super
really
powerful.
good news
Yeah,
for
it's great
you.
news.
That's brilliant.
Let's get back to reality. At the end of the day, what you haven't said, you'll get your money back in X time, and you'll get X times your investment in X period, and that's why we're investable.
Just want to jump in there. That may sound like a harsh question by Tuka, but you gotta understand, and I've probably said this in every episode, but I know there's a couple of you who are loyal viewers and some of you who are new. By the way, if you're new and you're enjoying yourself, the like button would be amazing. If you're really enjoying yourself, the subscribe button would even be better. And if you know what the bell button does and you think that could be useful, go hit that. That would be sweet. Anyhow, what he's saying is, look, whatever you do is great, but actually what I care for is, how do I get my money back? Because at the end of the day, investors invest because they hope to get a return in a certain period of time. And for this, they need to know how big is the market. So that's basically the reward. Let's call it that way. How big is the reward? Second, they want to understand how big is the risk. With that, I mean is, are you a first-time founder? Are you a serial entrepreneur? Do you have substantial network? Do you have zero network? How do your revenues look like versus no revenues? Do you have patents versus nothing protectable? And so on. And finally, how much money do they have to put in the top in order to find out if their assumptions are right? And you only do that, well, if it's worthwhile. Think about it. I mean, the same thing. An investment is basically an educated bet. It's a calculated bet. If you were to take £10 or €10 to bet on something, and the maximum you could get back is £10.10 in a year's time, but there's a 90% chance of it you're not getting it back, you're not doing it right. Now, taking £10 or €10 and putting it into something it could potentially give you 100 back, let's say in 20 years, you go like, I don't care about that now, do I? If you say, you put 100 in, and if it goes well, you're getting 1,000 back in a month. You're like, yeah. And let's say if it's a horse race and there's 3 horses and each of them have won three races, and you got to pick one of them. That sounds like a fair deal. So you're like, yeah, that sounds fair as well. If there's one horse that has never won and only has 2 legs, however, if you win, you get £10,000 back, you're probably not doing it either. And that's what an investor's doing. Simply as that. It may sound harsh, but they're just simply trying to increase their money by understanding the risk and also mitigating it. Let's see what Lottie has to answer.
I'm glad you said all of those things because we prepared for those questions.
Of course you did.
Well, why are you glad? That's reality.
We're ready, and you wanted to see how credible we are.
Yeah.
So I'm about to show
Go
you.
stick
show
it to
me.
him.
So our forecast is that in 7 years' time...
How much?
In
7 years' time?
You got to wait 7 years
6.
to.
Oh my God. 7 years' time.
Can I finish? Is that okay?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. In 6 to 7 years' time, we want 250,000 athletes to be spending £250 a year with us.
Yeah.
And then we get to around 60 million of revenue. And currently in our space,
I got to jump in here. I think she's really good the way she's standing her ground. And of course, investors, especially in a show like this, but just anywhere, are going to try and rattle your cage. Yet I think that part with the glass he's just doing right now, I think that's a bit disrespectful. I know he's also trying to make a show and blah, blah, blah. I'm not there, but I think one thing is challenging people on a professional level and rattling their cage, but the other part is just a bit too much disrespectful. I don't like it. And just where I've paused it right now, I have a very strong feeling Deborah Meaden doesn't like it either. But if that happens, understand that if there's seasoned dragons, jury members, whatever, they can do their thing. And the audience or customers or whoever you want to call them, they know them. So they can kind of get away with a bit. But if you're there on the stage at a pitching event in university, in front of potential clients, or maybe a national television show, they get 3 minutes of you, or 2 minutes, or 1 minute to make an impression. Do not go down to that kind of level of getting personal. I really don't think that's the way it should be. Remain professional, remain polite, defend yourself on a professional level, on an educated level, but don't do that. That's wrong. It's good to be emotional if you're happy, or if it's a story you're telling that really, but getting emotional out of anger or frustration, or because someone's rattling your cage, and then getting personal, that's not a good way of showing you're able to build a company, even under pressure. Let's see what Deborah says to this, if she says something to this.
You are rubbing your glass, but what I think, no, we're standing here before you and we got to profitability within 18 months.
Good answer.
And we're selling these products because we are building an incredible community.
When do I get my money back?
I think the ultimate exit for this business will be in 6 years, but of course there'll be opportunities to make your money back through the great amounts of profit that we're making.
I'm not looking for 70 years down the road. You know? 3 years I could live with. 5, 7 years. So for that reason, I'm out.
Good on you. Now, just to comment on that, that's not bad. That's not good. It's actually, for me, a very neutral result, because every investor, and especially if it's, let's say, venture capitalists, they have a certain period of time in which they have to get their returns. That's just the way they operate. And if you need longer for that, because that's the way you intend to operate, that's perfectly fine. And it's just like if you're looking for a flat you want to rent and you need the flat for 5 years, but someone says, yes, great, but we're only going to rent it out for 3 years, but you want 5, that doesn't say a thing about the flat or you or them. It's just they want to give it for 3, you need it for 5, and quite simply, that means there is no fit. And you will move on to find a different apartment, even if you like it, and even if they like you, because just these two elements, or this element of time, is just not compatible. And in this case, Fatuka and what was their name? Mayo Master. Good that I take notes. Mayo Master, I believe. Lottie and Joe. That's easier. Lottie and Joe. That's just no. But that's fine. Quite brave of Tuka to say it in front of like a professional rugby player. Like he could eat him alive, couldn't he?
I think I'm in love with you, but I'm not in love with the business. Okay. So I'm going to say that I'm out.
Okay, thank you.
Same thing. Like if you have something you invest in, you happen to invest in solely software products, and someone comes along and pitches a perfect hardware product, perfect. And you say, well, I love it. I think you're great. But that's just not what I invest in. That's just not what I understand. It's also perfectly fine to move on. Same thing, if you're looking for a gardener and someone comes along and says, look, I'm not a gardener, but I'm actually a very, very good barber. That's great, but he or she will not deliver what you're looking for. So don't do a deal. Same thing.
I think you've picked a market that is packed and busy and competitive. You've not got your technology play away yet, and it's not been designed. I think I like your story.
Thank you.
And Lottie, you are unbelievable.
Thank you.
She is.
You are absolutely incredible. You're a class act, and I've never met anybody under interrogation, and you're getting emotional as well, which has just pushed me over the edge. Never make an emotional investment. I will offer you half the money for 5%, but I would want another dragon in with me.
So he just slashed the valuation by half. That's a nice move. But the point being, he's basically saying, Gary's basically saying he is prepared to invest in the company because of the way the two of them, specifically Lottie, have conducted themselves under pressure. So if you ever find yourself under pressure in a pitch and you have the feeling you want to punch the other one in the face, don't do it. Remain professional. If you ever find yourself unsure if you should prepare for a Q&A session, you might want to do that as well. So understanding that the way how you conduct yourself under pressure is that moment where investors actually form their opinion on you is gold. So that's what you need to understand. And that's why this little pitch is just also getting right up to one of my personal favorites, because this is gold. And I also said, being emotional because you're angry is bad. Being emotional because you're happy or proud is great, because you show you are human. You can feel. And that Lottie's getting a bit emotional here shows us quite simply that she cares. And you want to have a founder who cares, because if they care, they'll go the extra mile. Beautiful pitch.
I'm going to offer you all of the money, 100,000, but I want 20%. However, if I get back my 100,000 in the first 12 months of working with you, I will drop down to 10%.
You've been absolutely faultless, and you've come under a lot of questioning.
Here comes the next investment.
And I couldn't miss an opportunity of working with you, because I just, you know, I could see it could be really exciting.
Thank you.
So I'm going to make you an offer, and I'm going to offer you all of the money for 10% of the business.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I decided quite a while ago that I wasn't going to make you an offer, that I didn't want to invest because I didn't know the business. But the more you talked...
Told you.
Honestly, I can't even tell you the impact that has had. And I actually think you'll win at this business. And backing another strong woman like you are is just... You don't get chances to do that very many times in your life. You really don't. So I would offer you all of the money. All 100,000 for 10%, reducing to the 5% you're asking for if I get my money returned within 12 months.
Fantastic. Thank you so
very
much. I just think the combination of maybe Peter.
That's a lot, isn't it? Peter, 100K for 20%, going down to 10%. Gary saying 50K for 5% and wants another dragon. And then we have Deborah, who says 100K for 10%. And then we also have the final offer at 100K for 10%, going down to 5%. That's a lot. What would you do in that moment? I'd be curious. Give it a thought and think about it. Would you be able to memorize all of this in a moment where your adrenaline is splashing out of your ears? You've been there all day in the studio, nervous, anxious, haven't slept well the night before, and now you get 4 different offers. Would you be able to calculate that in your head? Would you be able to make such an important decision in that second? And the answer is no, you wouldn't. Unless you've talked about that before. Unless before you've said, okay, look, this is our valuation by 5%, 10%, 15%, blah, 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 all of that. This is how far we're willing to go. This is how far we're able to go. This is what it means for our business model. This is what it means for future rounds. And this is something we're comfortable in going and where we're not going. This is something you need to do in advance, not something in the moment. If you say, look, we're happy to go up to 20%, but everything above is non-negotiable. And I have seen entrepreneurs under fire crumple because in that moment their brain has just gone in overdrive and they just couldn't come up with these valuations. And I've seen entrepreneurs give away way too much for their business for way too little because in that moment of being under fire, they just couldn't come up with that and would just make mad decisions. So understand, adrenaline, anxiety, all of this really, really gives you brain fog. So do your homework before. And I'm pretty sure Lottie and Joe have. Pete and Gary. Well, that's what it says there. I mean, I don't know if they're going to go that way, but
Gary.
It's just too high, though.
What about Gary and Sarah? Sarah said she would come in at 10 and reduce to 5 with Gary. Thank you so much for all of your offers and for your feedback. We wanted to just clarify that you said you would reduce to 5% if we were able to pay the money back.
I did. I was the only one sitting here who respected your original ask.
well done, Sarah.
Just for clarity.
We wanted to ask if you would consider coming in with Gary.
I would love to work with Gary, and he has a lot more knowledge in this market than I do.
So if I get my money back in 12 months, we go down to 2.5%.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Come on, Jake. Before anyone changes the mind.
I love her. I think she's such a good person.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
There was something about Peter Jones and Stephen Bartlett's look that both of them said, I would have liked to have worked with the two of them. But, you know, sometimes they also have their own, let's call it investment strategies, something they do and they don't want to do. And I think they missed out into something.
See you later, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Very small detail, probably not relevant. I think it's great if the two of them walk out together, but that's just something on the adrenaline, on the anxiety. I'm not saying they're full of adrenaline or anxious, but I'm just saying it's something, it just kind of, you want to see people walk in as a team and walk out as a team. But that could just be me nitpicking.
You're amazing.
Oh my God, that was so hard, wasn't
You were incredible. Like, honestly, you're amazing. Well done. Love you.
Get in.
I've never met anyone like her in my life.
No.
Never.
No. We haven't had anyone like her in the dead.
Well
You're a
done.
great
Well done.
Gary.
Amazing.
Great fit.
Poor Joe. I thought Joe was good as well. Lottie was amazing. I think Joe was great as well. He did his part and he brought the credibility to it. And then Lottie went in there and slayed the dragons. I love that comment. Whoever had that comment, top viewed comment on the video on the BBC. Lottie the Dragon Slayer. In that sense, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed myself. And if you're still watching here, have a good one. Take care, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye-bye.